Hi everyone, I'm Ariel Beck and I'm the founder of Girls Who Start. Welcome to our first Girls Who Start virtual workshop. We're so excited to have all of you. And just a reminder that the Girls Who Start mission is to inspire middle school, high school, and college girls to become entrepreneurs and leaders. And we do this by showcasing female leaders and we talk about their journeys. We have 40 chapters at middle schools, high schools, and colleges across the country and internationally. And before we begin, I'd like to welcome our newest chapters and their presidents. Morgan and Unag from Columbia Grammar in New York, Cameron and Amelia from Holliston in Massachusetts, Amelia and Raina from Hatboro Horsham in Pennsylvania, Andy from Aspen High School in Colorado, and Ryan from Episcopal in Virginia. If you're interested in starting a chapter or you know someone who may be interested in starting a Girls Who Start chapter, feel free to reach out to the Girls Who Start website or Instagram, which I will put in the chat momentarily. Today, we're so excited to present our first Girls Who Start Zoom workshop, where we learn skills for success. Our guest is Talia Fox, and she will be guiding us through thinking and talking like a boss, skills and strategies for success. I'm so excited for our speaker today, and I'm going to pass it on to Amalia Haviv, president of the PACE Academy chapter in Atlanta, Georgia, to introduce Talia. So Amalia, whenever you're ready, feel free to unmute and you can introduce Talia.
Hi, I'm so excited to welcome Talia Fox, who is the CEO of QSI Global, a leadership strategist and legacy builder. She has transformed thousands of executives over the last 2 decades in every sector, including major corporations in health, higher education, technology, and government. Talia holds an MED in psychology and is a Harvard University fellow. She has assisted leaders in the development of innovative strategies for some of the most critical and complex missions globally, including defense, wealth and equities, racial and social justice, aviation, and healthcare. Talia helps organizations maximize human potential by leveraging strategic intelligence and helps individuals and organizations foster connect conscious equity. She has facilitated designed thousands of interactive learning experiences that support competence, organizational things are widely sought after, and she has been invited to share her expertise in leadership and business strategies globally. I would now like to thank Talia Fox and pass it on to her.
Thank you so much, Amalia, and thank you, Ariel. I am so excited to be among winners. And when I say that, we're not judging anybody else, but the first step to winning, it's literally 98% of the battle is just showing up. The second step, which is why I'm here, is being able to share your wisdom. I just want to thank all of you for allowing me and Ariel to be of service, because all of the great bios and things that we do, these are these fleeting moments. We set goals, we meet them. But at the end of the day, it's how we use our experiences, how we use our strengths, how we use our stories to inspire somebody else. Typically, this kind of situation, I would do an inspirational speech, but because we are in the act of leadership development and you all are entrepreneurs, if you don't have a business yet, I'm claiming and naming you an entrepreneur right now. You're a girl who starts because you're here. And today, you might have started yesterday, you might have started last year, 2 years ago, or today might be the day that you start. But a start is all of us are on doing the same thing in one day. I wanted to give you a flavor for what kinds of things the highest levels of leadership receive and what they're thinking about. And so when we talk about thinking and acting like a boss, we're going to give you a flavor of what that really looks like. And so I did update some things to make it relevant to your journey, but you're going to see a little vibe of what it is that we've been talking about. But before we go into what we want to do and how we want to think, who we are impacts everything that we do. So your stories are really important and you are important. I'm just going to give a quick shout out. I see Abby Daniels. Abby Wells is on our team. Amalia, Amelia, Ashley, Aveen, Ava Ohana's in the house. Ava Schwartz is in the house. Bridget, Brielle, Carolyn, Kane, Carolyn Zebrak, Charlotte, Alyssa, Elsa, Amelia, Emily, what's up, Eva, Fiona, 123 Zola, I don't know what your name is, but we'll get Jalaya, Janara, hopefully I get your names, Kara, Lalitha, Lani, or Lani, tell me in the chat box if I got your name wrong, spell it out, Margot, Mila, Molly, Morgan, Nika, Olivia Castle, and Olivia O'Donnell, Una, last, Peyton, Raina, Ryan, Sarah, Sasha, Sophie, Tammy, and Tarika, and of course, Mira. All right. Talk to me. We're going to talk a lot in the chat box, but I will just be giving you an opportunity to speak up. So I am looking for, as we move through this experience, what I typically do in sessions is I just call on people and you step up to lead. So I might do that. If you feel a little nervous, you just say, I'm going to pass. There's no shame there. But I would love to see hands, or for you just to wave at me if I can see you, to speak up and step up to let your voice be heard as we ask questions. Someone's has to lead the charge moving through. So that's just a quick shout out. Hello to everyone and welcome. Love that all of you are winners because you have shown up. So let me tell you a little bit about me. So you heard about my work, but I'll tell you just a tad bit about my history. I have two boys. This is Jaden down here in the corner. He's 13. And then Elijah, who is a high schooler. A college. He's not high school anymore. College at Emory. He goes to Emory. He's actually in his sophomore year. And this is us at Harvard. And then in the corner, you see, I don't know if you can see my tab here. Let me get my pen. Let me get my little highlighter pen. So this is a picture of my godfather, Johnny Kemp. Anybody ever heard the song Just Got Paid? It's Friday night, parties jumping. Anyone? Is that too old? Just Got Paid? Anybody know that song? Okay, you have to, gosh, I'm so, oh, this tells me right now how old I am. Abby, do you know that song? Who's that? Which one was that?
Talia, I know that song.
You know it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
This song was very, very popular. He was a one-hit wonder. He has passed away since. That's my godfather, but this is my father. So the reason I share this picture with you is that my father became an entrepreneur, but he only has a 6th grade education. So I actually recently found out just a few years ago that my father's he was completely illiterate. He's from the Bahamas, which was shocking to me because he actually hid this the entire time, but he's been an entrepreneur my entire life. Why is that impactful to me is because when I was a little girl, this is him right there in the corner. Let me get the arrow again. When I was a little girl, he used to ask me to read all of his contracts. We grew up in Las Vegas, so he opened up the Mirage and those big casinos. He's a reggae artist. And he would ask me to come in and read contracts and negotiate deals at 8 years old. And what I realized is that the fact that my father was illiterate is the reason that I became such a savvy entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for almost my entire career, 20 years, and turned a small company. Our first year, we made about $5,000 to now being a multi-million-dollar firm, really growing, but it was these skills. And so I share this to say, and I'm also a single mom, by the way. The children's father had brain cancer, and so he's just indisposed. And so I share this story a little bit about the struggle is because, I feel like we have these traditional journeys to entrepreneurship and to success. And I truly believe that whatever you have gone through, whatever you might go through, whatever the struggles are, you can use that for your success. Another important part of my story, I always start with the story because this is who I am, and this is going to be relevant in the way I think, how I perceive the world. Another part of my story is that I've lost a lot of weight. I'll show you this first. I'll go to my grandmother. Here we go. I lost a lot of weight. That's me and my father. I lost literally over 100 pounds. You see me on the Peloton. And this was one of the most important parts of my entrepreneurship journey because I had to practice and master discipline. Discipline in my thinking, discipline in my eating, discipline in my exercising. And I had a chance to interview a ton of top leaders in our world, some of them really, really big names. Bill Gates was actually one of them. And one thing I discovered is that everybody has a plan for taking care of themselves. I know they publish a lot, I think, some people eat chocolate, they eat a lot of weird things. They don't all do the same thing, but they do something that thinks about taking care of their temple. And I will tell you that when I got my mind right and when I got my body right, then the success absolutely follows. So that's a really important part of this journey. Very vulnerable to share that, but vulnerability is a leadership strategy. I also had an opportunity to have dinner with Oprah. You guys have heard of Oprah, haven't you? I'm just kidding. I know that my one-hit wonder godfather is not that famous. But yes, Oprah. And, I asked her a question. I said, if you were in my shoes, what would you do? Because I actually was offered a dean's position at Harvard, and I was trying to decide whether or not I would continue the entrepreneurship journey or I would transfer to this dean's position. And she said, well, you know what I did. I turned everything down and I bet on myself. So the reason I share this with you as budding entrepreneurs is because there is a possibility, I won't say for sure, but there is a possibility there's going to be risks. And there'll be times where people might doubt you, where you might doubt yourself. And so right from the mouth of Oprah, who I think we could all agree, did she become a pretty successful entrepreneur? Do you all know the story about how Oprah betted on herself? You can talk, do you know? Okay, let me just tell you, let me give it to you really, really quickly. So she had this offer when she was doing the Oprah show. Okay, she had this offer. And during the Oprah show, they said she was at the time making about $35,000. I don't know the exact numbers, but about $35,000, $40,000 a year. And she was fine with it. The Oprah show offered her $250,000 a year. Now, can you imagine a salary going from $35,000 a year to $250,000? That sounds like a big jump, right? Who would take it? Yeah, you know what? Thanks for being honest. And by the way, if you're not on video, go ahead and use the chat box. Thanks for being honest, because honestly, I don't know if I would have turned that down. So she had this attorney that was guiding her, and he said, turn it down, take a percentage of whatever you make. And she says, well, what if I don't make anything? And he told her to bet on yourself. So literally, if Oprah had not turned down that big salary just to get a percentage of what she was going to make, she would not be Oprah today. She would not have grown into a $1 billion firm. And every year she renegotiated, and she kept hedging her bet and hedging her bet. And again, some people said, boy, well, that's risky. That was gambling. But she said, you know what? No, I'm going to bet on myself, because I don't know about what all of you can do, but I believe in what I can do. And so this is the guidance and the wisdom that I have followed moving on, is we always want to get wisdom from other people. Another quick story. This is 1952. We're going to go way back. This is my grandmother. My grandmother is Rosella Lawrence. She was one of the first Black models in New York. And she is really important to me because she put these things in my mind, as we're talking about thinking like a boss. My grandmother said several things. And by the way, my grandmother was very fancy. She had these long cigarettes, and I would go and see her in New York. Anybody been to New York? On Park Avenue? So she lived on Park Avenue, and her apartment was just fabulous. And she would have these big collars flipped up, and she just always looked great. And I'd be 8 years old. She'd have these long cigarettes, and she'd say, darling, you're not better than anyone else, but no one is certainly better than you. And then she'd say, don't ever allow anyone to take your soul. And then she'd look at me sometimes, she'd look down, and she'd say, darling, money is the easiest thing to get. And she would just have these little things that she would say. So throughout my life, my grandmother is in her 80s now, she put these seeds in my mind that she would say, life is about value and purpose. Life is about your grace and your grit. And so she really honed this ability for me to go into this work of being a leadership strategist. And now our company does culture transformation projects. But it really started with Obama wrote a book called Audacity of Hope, with the audacity to be hopeful and to be courageous and to be excited about the future. All right, so that's a little bit about me, so you know who's talking to you today, that there's some history there, and that journey is probably the most important part of the process. And I like Brene Brown. Do you all like Brene Brown? Have you heard of her? Maybe. Yeah, she does work on vulnerability and leadership. She's really cool. She's pretty popular in the leadership vein. If you haven't heard of her, it's a good person to follow as you're thinking about entrepreneurship. And she says that when you are vulnerable, that means, can you be honest and authentic about who you are? It can be our greatest measure of courage. And so not only, I think in my journey, have I kind of been able to be vulnerable about the story, I use that, right? I even use it, Abby could confirm this, but I talk to the highest levels of leadership at the VA, and many of the people that work with me, they're often really scared at the way I run meetings, because people will get right into the meeting and talk about X, Y, and Z and what we need to do. And I will say, now just let's wait a minute and let's just talk a little bit about our purpose here and what we're trying to accomplish, because that really becomes the foundation. And I will tell you, not only is it a good way to connect, it's also a strategy for developing a relationship. And it's the secret sauce to relationships and connections, the secret sauce to success. If you find something different, you email me, because that's something that I really feel that I can bank on. All right, so let's hear from you. I want to know a couple of things. So life, leadership, bossing up, it's all about the art of reflection. So I don't know how many of you have thought about these questions, but I am going to see who will step up to lead first. If not, I'll just call on you. Really quickly, we're going to do this very fast. Just take a few people. We're going to start with question number 1. You can put your answers in the chat box. I haven't got any chatty folks yet. So I'd like 100% participation. That means everyone puts something in the chat box, but few people will speak up. Do you know right now 1 or 2 things that's most important to you? And what are they? Can we go to Abby Daniels? %100% participation in the chat box. Fantastic. And Abby, speak up if you can.
I have to say like education, probably in family.
Fabulous. Education, family. Oh, look, there's lots of creativity. Okay, let's see who's coming in. Raina says family and friends. Amelia says my character, my education, my family. Integrity and family. Family and kindness. Love and light, Margot says. Wonderful. Ava says family. All right, let me go up to get some more of these. Wonderful. Let me get a couple more. Let me call on Olivia.
Yes.
Tell me, what's most important to you?
I would say my family, my friends, my education. Yeah.
Fabulous, fabulous. Okay, so Elsa says consistency and curiosity. If you own a family and education, family and friends, honesty and authenticity, integrity, having an open mind, wonderful, family and education. All right, let's go this one. This is the art of reflection. Do you have a life philosophy that guides your choices and what you do? This is going to be very, very important, particularly as you think about your entrepreneurship venture. What is your life philosophy? Let me share mine. Mine is that I hope that when someone is in my presence, they will leave my presence feeling the same or uplifted, but that no one that has an interaction with me will ever feel diminished in any way. I can't always control that, but that is my desire, that no one ever feels shut down or broke down. And if I find that there's a possibility that happens, I'll try to fix it if I can. So what is your life philosophy? What guides you? Go ahead and get to the chat box. This is really for everyone to hear. I won't get to read all of them, but 100% in the chat box. And let me call on Lalitha.
I would say self-love is the best love. That's something that always guides me.
I love it. So can you tell us, did you do anything this week that was a reflection of self-love?
I mean, I just do things in like my daily routine that make me feel like I'm like paying attention to myself and my concerns. And that really helps me.
Fabulous. Self-love is the best love. Oh, I have to use that. What about Ryan Shepard?
I just try to like apply effort in everything that I do, like 100% of what I can do into anything that I set my mind to.
Wonderful. Apply effort, everything you do, 100%. Let's go to Brielle.
I would just say like remaining true to yourself and persisting through any obstacles that like may come your way. And to always just remain like positive with a positive outlook on your life and everything coming forward.
Fabulous. All right. I love the remaining positive. Okay, we have 2 more. This is the reflection. This is getting clear. And by the way, we can share these questions. This is really going to be the foundation of what we think about, and we'll move forward in just a moment. What are your 2 greatest opportunities? You know, if you know what's important to you, you know what's guiding you, what your philosophy is, what are your 2 greatest opportunities to add value to the world right now? And let's use the chat box. Let me go. Oh, lots of great things in the chat box. I'll go to that in just a moment. Let me go to the chat box and I'll come back. Think about it. Your greatest opportunity. And this is an opportunity. If you want to share your venture or what you're working on in terms of your entrepreneurship venture, you can. So I say, Amelia says to always be willing to try new things because you never know what the outcome will be if you don't try. Bella says creating a comfortable environment around me. These might be ideas for entrepreneurship ventures. I want you to see the seeds in these questions, being honest and authentic towards everyone and staying genuine, never giving up on myself. If it's not an actual venture, it could be your greatest marketing tool, right? So you might say Girls Who Start, the place where honesty and authenticity meet genuine, success, right? So you actually can turn these answers into a tagline for a business. So I just want you to say this is more powerful than you might think. Janara says, always approach any situation with the best attitude and most confidence. Eva says, kindness to all. I'd love to hear what your venture will be. Margot, generosity to yourself and others. I love this. Genuine person and genuine friend from Amelia. Oh, Jasmine, radiating positivity. Ellen, I'll go to Ashley. By being kind and authentic toward everyone and spreading truth and knowledge through Girls Who Start. Beautiful. Margot says, job offer at a startup. Eek, going forward with my website. That's fantastic. All right. Okay, who has? So please share. I'd like to go ahead and speak up or put your hand up. I want to see who's ready to step up to lead. Your greatest opportunities right now to add value to the world. Where are my bosses in this room? Margot, fantastic.
Great. So should I keep reading them, or I'm just...
No worries. So Margot, if you will share, what are your two greatest opportunities right now to add value to the world?
Oh, okay.
Or one, if you only have one.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I put it in the chat, but it never gets, the origin story never gets any better every time I say it. But I was like super into, I've always been really like fascinated with like direct to consumer brands, like Glossier, Outdoor Voices, all that kind of stuff. And this is like, you're gonna understand why this is like a terrible story to tell every single time, to adults and like teens alike. But I got really bored in like late December, and I like made a meme page about direct consumer brands, and basically a bunch of the founders of like these brands found it. Now I have a job offer at a bunch of startups, and yeah, a website in the works.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Thank you, Margot. It's beautiful. So in this process, we're going to move on here. Thank you all for sharing. Lots of good participation here. This journey is always going to be, whether you are the CEO of Amazon or you are just starting today, or you have a venture that's starting, you will always have to think about what's important to you, what your values are. You'll always have to think about why these things are important to you, what's going to guide your decisions and your philosophy. You will continue regularly to think about your greatest opportunities to add value to the world. This is actually how you pivot and expand businesses. It starts with those critical questions. Do you know that Jeff Bezos asks that question? What is my opportunity to add value? What can make things easier for the world right now? What kind of finances? All the big bosses ask this question. And now the big question is, what obstacles are in your way that might make meeting your goal more difficult? These are the key questions. They're simple. They seem but they are very, very powerful. And the challenge is just asking the question and seeing what comes up will help you. The challenge is it money? Is it the fact that you are in quarantine? Do you need connections? What do you need? Are there any challenges or obstacles? Why don't you speak up? Who'd like to share? Do you feel like right now, as you're thinking about your entrepreneurship venture, are there any challenges or obstacles? Yes, Ashley.
Right now, I feel like the biggest obstacle for me is being completely online, and running Girls Who Start through my school and getting people to go to another Zoom meeting, and participate in that environment. But yeah.
Yeah, so that can be challenging, right? Can you see something that's working out even better because of the obstacle of being completely online?
There's definitely more chances to have events and stuff like that because it's online, so I don't have to plan like someone to come on campus and speak in person. Plus, I can use my social media 10 times more and reach a greater audience. So there's that for sure.
So you just proved to us, Ashley, within every challenge is an opportunity, right? Okay, wonderful. All right, let's keep rolling. We're a little behind in time. We're doing great though. These are the questions. I'm going to do a little bit of teaching and then we'll put you in an exercise to sort of talk to each other about a few things before we close. So let me just go over a couple of concepts with you. I don't know if we're going to skip some of these. All right, give me 1 second. All right, so in addition to asking those 4 questions, there are 3 critical skills. These are pretty heavy skills. These are the same skills that I give to my Harvard folks, the same skills that we give to the top levels of the Department of Defense in the United States. So there are 3 things that you need to master. You have to be a really great communicator. It's an important part of the process. And when I say you have to be, there are different ways you communicate. If you're not the best communicator and you feel you don't want to spend time honing that, then you want to make sure you have a fantastic communicator on your team as a partner. Emotional intelligence, the ability to manage the ups and downs of your experience and your life and challenges. What do you do with that? And also the ability to handle the highs. Has anybody had a situation where you feel uncomfortable as things are going so well? I don't know if you've ever had, but sometimes the highs can also be an emotional journey. And then this idea of having strategic intelligence. So this isn't the just natural IQ intelligence. This is asking the right questions so you can come up with some different answers and have different perspectives. All right. So I'm going to go over a couple of things with you as we move forward that tells you the value of this journey. So the very first thing is having a leadership mindset. And let me put a timer on. I'm just going to do 5 minutes on this and see how much we can get to, Ariel. 6 minutes. I'm gonna put a timer on for myself because I have so much to share with you. So a leadership mindset. So right now you have the opportunity to have a leadership mindset. So when I say bossing up, I just told Abby, I said, oh, I'm so tired today because I had a lot of stuff. But guess what I do when I'm tired? I say it's game time. So that is, my posture is good. I take a big breath, and because I'm a leader, when I walk into a room, I feel like a leader. I speak like a leader. I work on how I talk. I look at my shoulders, and I take deep breaths. And this isn't some fake, inauthentic reason to get approval from people. This is me just sitting back and saying, what makes me feel really confident and good, right? And it's not about getting the approval of everyone or being, people thinking that I'm good or bad or right or wrong, but it's about energizing myself. A leadership mindset is energizing. The second thing is building relationships is not just an intuitive thing that you just learn. Building relationships is an actual skill that you want to practice. And what that means, the skill is when you get on and when you say hello to someone, are you able to say, start with, hi, how are you? What are things? Let me tell you a little bit about my journey, right? And asking lots of questions about other people. Building relationships, people tend to like those that are interested in them. And so as you are building these relationships, all you need to do is just ask questions and be interested. Also, there's a book called 48 Laws of Power. So as each of you boss up, there's this interesting space of being young, being women, or whatever, however you identify in gender, and being in control and being the leader. And so what I have seen with young professionals moving forward is there are some that are very meek and they don't boss up enough. But then there are others where there's in 48 Laws of Power, it says never outshine the master. So if you're in the presence of someone that has been on a particular journey, know how to, without becoming weak, showing respect, right? And honoring people's journeys. Right? When I met Oprah, I became very weak. I actually forgot my name. She threw me off because when she introduced herself, she said, "Hi, my name is Oprah." And I said to myself, duh, of course I know who you are. And then she said, "And your name is?" And I just was like thinking to myself, well, that's a question. I literally couldn't remember my name. There's something that goes on in the brain. I feel so, luckily I got to meet her again, but literally I couldn't remember my name. So I got weak in that moment, but I became humble. I did not do well with this building relationship, managing leader, but I pulled it back in when we sat down. I had some good conversation to go, but just to let you know, it happens to the best of us. Being able to manage change, being able to deal with conflict, these are all skills. Being able to have difficult conversations with people. And then you all are in a very interesting world. And, Ashley, you just brought this up, where I like to call it, here's a new word for you to just use amongst yourselves. So only people in this group can use it. But you can say that the world has gone VUCA. This is a military term, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Ambiguous means that we just don't know what's going to happen. So you all are in a very interesting space as you're thinking about your entrepreneurship journey, because the world is just very VUCA. Nobody knows the answers. I can share with you my experiences, but the game is changing. The landscape is changing. And so we need to have skills to be able to develop effectively. All right, let me move. I'm going to move through some of these because I want to save time and give you some time to act. So the leadership mindset is important. And then this model is going to kind of summarize many, many things that we do in leadership training and thinking like a boss. Are you ready for it? So I actually developed this model when I was supporting someone within the NBA, National Basketball Association. So there was a guy in the NBA, he was young, and he just got, I won't mention his name, I'm changing up some of the details. He got a contract going from high school to the NBA. So he went from having just a little bit of money to having a lot of money, right? And what he did, he went into a restaurant, and it's a restaurant he always went into, and the waitress came over, and he thought the waitress was cute. So he decided to just flirt with her a little bit. And so he kind of tugged at her apron. Well, that little apron tug cost him a couple $1 million. Do you think that apron tug would have cost him that much before he got into the NBA? No, right? Why? First of all, do you think the apron tug was really bad? It's kind of the eye of the beholder. Talk to me. Why do you think he wouldn't have had to pay that much before? Do you think if you tug someone's apron at a restaurant right now, somebody would sue you for a couple million? No. Why wouldn't they sue you, Eva?
Because I'm not well known. I don't have that much money. I'm not like a celebrity like that.
Right. So you could have that much money, right? But they don't know it, right? So that's yeah. Absolutely. So again, you have less to lose. So my theory here is that even though right now certain things may not seem risky, it's important to think and act like you are going to be where you'll be later on. It's really critical. So let me tell you what happened to this gentleman using this model. So who he was changed. He was a high school person he was a high school person, and he had a relationship with someone that now was serving him. So he had a position of power based on who he was. So all of you are going to be CEOs and starting a business. So who you are now, today, right now, as your business grows, and even once you start the business, the relationship with people change. You are now leading. You are now responsible for the health of a company. And so you have some integrity about that. And then the situation changed. So if they had been, with his amount of money, if they had been in a nightclub, it would have been different, but they were in her place of work. And so that's why that was such a big deal. And so the reason I share this with you is because these are the things that I want you to be thinking about. I want you to think about who you are and how you're changing. I want you to think about the relationships that you have with your family, with your friends, with the people and girls who start. And I want you to think about how your circumstances are changing, right? So maybe you get some investor money. Maybe you hire some new partners. Maybe you are now on social media and now you're kind of running a company where you used to just post regular things on social media, but now you're posting things about your company. The context changes. So here's the deal, and this is going to be very, very big for a changing world, is are you having different reactions, choosing different behaviors, and making different choices based on how you are changing, based on your relationships changing, and based on the circumstances changing, right? So this is a really, really important process of how you want to be thinking. All right. So I'm going to, let's put you in this exercise as our final thing. I'd like for you to go into groups, and Ariel, we can do groups. Let's see, there are 35 participants, so we can do maybe 5 or 6 groups.
Yeah, sounds good. I can make those right now.
Great. And so what you could do is take a picture of this, because I don't think it'll be in the breakout room. Go ahead and take a picture of this slide with your phone. And I'd like for you in your groups to come up with kind of your motto. So just get to know each other for just a few minutes. It's only going to be about 10 minutes in the group. How do you want to serve the world? What will you do to start? And each person can individually share, but I'd like just a couple of teams to report out on just kind of what you all share together. What values are going to lead you, and how can you take 100% responsibility for your success? So no excuses. So take a picture of this. And this is about real competence and real influence. So Ariel is going to put you in breakout rooms. You'll have a chance to talk through these questions, and then we'll come back and share.
And Talia, I'll make you a co-host so you can jump between rooms if you'd
great.
like.
I said you had a really good turnout here.
We actually had 70 signups.
Wow.
And I think it kind of interfered with sports. So I think that might have been part of the issue.
Yeah.
And some people emailed me saying that they had like tutoring, stuff like that.
Oh, it's great that the amount showed up. Is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. This is great. It's really interesting. I'm realizing I haven't worked with, done a lot of stuff at the college level. I did do some mentoring with some high school students recently on entrepreneurship. But it'll be great to hear from them.
Yeah.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall as I hear some of them talk. I won't pop in the room because I think it kind of interrupts the discussion, but yeah, just to kind of hear who's starting businesses, what they're doing. It's great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is our first virtual workshop, and I would say definitely a lot of people are enjoying it. At least I am.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah, no, this is so intriguing to hear about, and especially like your backstory and the process. It's amazing.
I'm so glad. I'm just hoping it's some of the stuff is a little bit complex. I'm going to try to pop in a little bit of systems thinking, but I think most, we can be able to kind of apply it in certain things in our lives.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
totally. And we have a very big range of girls from, I would say, middle school to college. So
Wow.
yeah.
Great. Wonderful. So I guess we'll give them, I'll put a timer on it. 6:11. Time went by fast.
Yeah. Just let me know when you want me to close the rooms.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just put we'll just do about maybe 6 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. And also, Abby, I set up the polls with Abby, so just let me know if you want me to create.
Okay. Sorry that we had to skip the polls, but we just had I realized that I was going to run out of time, but because I wanted to kind of connect a little bit and get a vibe. Yeah. The other thing I realized is that you have 35. First, I thought it was going to be a smaller group, so I was like, oh, we can connect, but then they started coming in, so that's great.
Yeah, a lot more continue to join after 5:30.
Yeah, that's great.
That tends to happen a lot.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So are you all set to, I guess, Harvard? Do you feel like you're going to be on campus first year?
That's what I've heard as of now. I heard that they had a meeting where they broadcasted and told that they are planning on having at least freshmen as of now on campus for the fall 2021. So fingers crossed, hopefully. Yeah. But I think things are starting to look up, which is really nice.
Yeah, they are. And the weather's getting nice. And
Oh, yes. So nice. 70 degrees today. That was amazing.
I just can't even believe it.
I know, especially coming from, big snowstorms even just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's March.
It's March. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're kind of early, right?
Yeah, very early.
Well, spring break's coming up. So
yeah, that is true. A couple weeks.
great.
How are you doing? How's your family?
Yeah, my family's good. Jaden and I keep Elijah. I have to keep forgetting. He's in college and he has nothing to do. I was supposed to say Jaden and Elijah are Bullis, but it's not true. You saw I called him a high schooler because I just did that for so many years. It's so weird.
What school does he go to?
Emory.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
One of our chapter presidents who's on our executive board is going to Emory next year.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So he goes to Emory and he's an entrepreneur too. He won Shark Tank and he's actually launching a new app. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He might be interested. And I don't know if you only do women, but he's young. He's at Emory. He might be interested in talking.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I want to watch his video on Shark Tank.
Yeah. He's, and I'm sorry, it didn't get aired or anything. He won the one at school, but it was a lot of money,
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So he, and now he's starting this app. He's getting, funding and
Is that his venture?
It is his venture. And he has,
yeah.
It's called Tribe. So it's actually an app that connects parents to very specific communities for their children. So it's really cool. So like if you have like different children, you can just click on their names and it shows you all the tribes your children. So if you have like piano, lacrosse, you can kind of organize it all. Yeah. And as you click on each one, you can see the information that you need for that, like lacrosse trainers and everything else. But it categorizes it for you. It's really cool.
That's so amazing and such a distinct idea.
Yeah, he's really excited about it. So
I guess he learned from the best.
Well, it's interesting because like I do this work, I talk about it, but you know how it is. Like he doesn't really
listen to you. Well, clearly he's been listening to something.
Yeah. So he's starting to sometimes, but it's a very funny experience. I feel like being a parent, sometimes parents just get the rap of just not really knowing what to do.
Yeah. I can see that happening.
Maybe it's all my outdated jokes. It messes with my credibility with it. Oh my gosh. All right, we probably can give them, maybe we can give them that 1 more minute.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Probably have enough time. So how about you? Are you, is this a sort of easy time for you or you have a ton of stuff going on as you?
I have, I don't have a lot of schoolwork going on because it's fourth quarter of senior year, but I have a lot of sports going on because we just started, we're in person now, like hybrid. So half of the week we're in person, half online. And out of the blue, we started sports. So we're now having games, which is just so amazing to be back on the field. So we're doing like 2 sports at a time and like practices every day.
Oh, wow. What sport do you play again?
I play soccer and lacrosse. I'm thinking about trying to walk on to the lacrosse team at Harvard, but I don't know.
That would be great.
That'll be fun.
Do you know Ethan?
Ethan, what's his last name?
I just forgot it. He plays lacrosse.
Does he play at Harvard?
He plays at Bullis. So I just thought
Bullis lacrosse is very good.
Yeah.
Ethan. I don't know. I definitely could know him. I don't.
But what school are you? For some reason I thought.
Sidwell.
Oh, you're at Sidwell.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm sorry. I don't know why.
No, it's okay. We do have a chapter at Bullis.
Okay.
Yeah, I do know a lot of people at Bullis.
That's right, Sidwell.
Yeah.
We almost went to Sidwell. I guess you wouldn't know him. Josiah came to Bullis. He was at Sidwell for a while, but
really?
That was a few years ago. Yeah.
Oh.
So I just know a couple of kids from Sidwell.
Yeah.
So. All right, I think we can bring him back.
Okay, perfect.
And I'm going to put my 10-minute timer on.
Sounds good. Okay, I'm closing all the rooms.
Okay.
They have, 1 minute to join, so we'll give them a couple.
No worries. right. Everybody's back. So there's this new term that we're hearing. Do you all use the term Zoom fatigue, or people are on Zoom doing classes all day? Wonderful. Okay. I think we have almost everybody. Is that everybody?
Yeah, I think it should be.
Okay. All right, who would like to share? A motto that you came up with, how you will start, what you're in the process of doing that you got on your team. Looking for hands, looking for voices, listening for voices. The courage to speak up. There we go. Eva, or Ava, you'll tell me how to pronounce your name.
Eva, yeah, you had it right.
Great.
So one of the things that I was really thinking about a lot and my group was talking about with this is something you brought up earlier about like what stands in the way with you. And I was saying, like, for myself, I think I am my biggest like own challenge. Like I have that like kind of fantasy belief that like you can do anything. And I really do genuinely believe that. And it's just what you're willing to put in. And I feel like that kind of, for me, that's kind of the answer that I was coming up with for a lot of these questions is like being able to have a strong enough will to commit yourself fully to certain things, like what you will serve and what you're starting, and taking 100% responsibility, like not blaming any external factors or people or situations, but really just putting it on yourself and being able to push yourself to be these things which you want to be.
Yeah, and you know what's exciting about that, Eva, is you only have to do it for one day. So many of us, when we think about our lives, like that's pretty big. To even the question, how do we want to serve? It could even be, I woke up this morning and what's one thing I can do that's going to put me just a little bit closer to my dreams, and just that one thing. I also like to say, what's my big, bold action that I'm going to take this week that I'm so afraid to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. Really important. Thank you, Eva, for sharing. You bossed up and you spoke up.
Thank you.
Who's next? Elsa?
Hi, in my group, we said that we wanted to serve back to people whose voices aren't always heard. And I think that's really important because I personally want to become a filmmaker. And I think that that gives me a good opportunity to show and broadcast certain aspects of people's lives that most people don't like to see. And I think it also gives me a good platform to use my entrepreneurship skills that I learned, not only to sell myself, but like an idea or a movie.
Elsa, have you made any films yet?
Yeah, I'm currently working on a short film that I wrote. And so every Friday I meet with my actress and we film for about 4 hours. And it's been like that for the past couple of weeks.
Fabulous. Wow. So you're starting and you're taking responsibility and getting into action. That's fantastic. Who else wants to share? So what you can do is you can either share what you have in your group, but I want to just leave some time because we just have about 8 minutes. Life and or work, anything. So I read about 200 books a year. So I've got a lot of information in my head. Is there anything going on with you? If you need help with anything, if you need a skill, if something is like, I wish I knew how to do this, this is your chance. You have 8 minutes. You can ask me anything. Life and or entrepreneurship, nothing is off the books. What can I do to help you? Oh, we've got, okay, great. Jasmine, talk to me.
One question I had was, if you could go back to your high school self, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, that's the best question ever. If I could go back to my high school self, I wish that I knew that so many of the things that I cared about were just not important. So many things. And it's so sad because now that I'm on the other side, I remember crying. I remember crying myself to sleep. But by the way, I also used to have this. I have to tell you guys a really quick story. I was the girl that I was chubby, but I really wanted to wear, like, I wanted the quarterback of the football team or whoever was I wanted to be the cool girl so much. And like, I think my big dream back then was just to wear the senior jacket of somebody that was cool. Like, that's what I wanted, but I was just not that person. I was the nerd that was off to the side. And my other girlfriends were kind of more cute and cool. And now I look at, and this is no judgment, but I look at what some of the gentlemen that I liked back then, what they turned into, and my goodness, boy, was that a great thing. that I didn't end up with any of them. Like, I just realized that so many things happened that turned out so well, but at the time, I just thought it was just the biggest thing in the world. Like, I remember crying myself to sleep and feeling so bad. And now I could look back and say, Talia, what were you thinking? I wish you'd had more fun, because that was going to work out so much better than you could imagine. So, Jasmine, that's a great question. What's important today may not be important tomorrow, but this is why we need our values. Everything that you all share that's important, those are things that will be important forever. Really important, family, friends.
Thank you so much for your answer.
Thank you. Who else? Life, work, anything.
How do you hold a commanding presence, like in a room full of people, especially a room full of like powerful men, for example?
Great question. So a commanding presence is an actual skill that's perceived by people. So it's a psychological tactic. A lot of us think that you're born with a commanding presence. And the reason this is important is because we need to make the distinction between skills and authenticity. So authenticity is that you know what your values are and you have integrity and authenticity about your values. When you command someone's presence, you typically, if you have good posture, I'm doing something with my voice right now, which you slow your voice tone down and you at least can appear confident. And I'll give you an example. I'm going to talk to someone. I'll talk to Olivia. Olivia, Mary had a little lamb. Her fleece was absolutely white as snow, and every single thing that Mary could do, this lamb, I don't really know what was going on, but the lamb was definitely sure to go. So I just said nothing, but there is a practice of how you speak, and you could give me anything. I can give you any poem. I could, say, you have a cadence. And so you work on that's my natural cadence, but you work on your own natural cadence, and that's a commanding presence. The key, if you're in a room, particularly full of, maybe you feel like you're the only woman, or if you're, gender neutral, you just feel uncomfortable no matter what your gender is. It's one of those things where, can you just speak up and be authentic and honest by saying, I'm enjoying listening to all of you, but I have one really important thing I'd love to share. It'd be nice to be heard, right? Can you find that language to really be authentic and ask? Or maybe after, I would even take that opportunity and say, does anyone have any advice for me on how I can get my voice heard in this group? I feel like I have a lot of value to offer. And I'll tell you, people will just be silent. Really important. What else? What are your questions?
I had a question about how do you get as many social connections as possible? Because I know in my area that there's not a lot of people necessarily that work in the film industry. And I plan on interning somewhere over the summer, but before then, I would like to have some people in this area. So I'm not really quite sure how to build all these connections in general.
So first, it starts with the question. Secondly, because we're online, LinkedIn is a really good resource, but you have to have a strategy on LinkedIn. And here's one thing, if all of you haven't gotten the memo, we're in the age of short and sweet, not long documents. So being able to have a particular question. So Elsa, your strategy might be, I'm going to find 2 or 3 major players in my area, and I'm going to interview them. This is where an organization like Girls Who Start can be really powerful, because if you want to make some connections, you might interview someone. Can you tell me about your entrepreneurship journey? Can I connect you with Ariel to come talk to Girls Who Start? Can I have your email address if I have some questions? hey, I'm doing this film, just wanted to share it with you. All of a sudden, they know you, and there was a journey and there was a process. And then you just sent a really quick email. Thank you for talking, wanted to share that I graduated from X, Y, and Z with honors, and I'm excited about this journey. You inspired me. The relationship will be gold forever. And little tidbits, and it's over time you grow. So for you, you can create some targets and think about the possibilities, but find some meaning. How can you use them to serve? How can you connect with them in meaningful ways? Tarika, I think you had your, and then we'll go to Lanny.
I guess I'm a really shy person, so I guess I was wondering, how do you break out of your shell and overcome the shyness, but also gain confidence in yourself?
That's a great question. Do you know that when I started out, I actually was terrified to speak in public, and I actually became a public speaker because I was so shy. And here's the distinction: is shyness is and introvertedness means that you prefer to be on the outskirts, and you have a preference to kind of listen and process and absorb, and that feels comfortable and authentic to you, and that's wonderful. But don't deprive yourself of the opportunity and the choice to speak up. So right now in this moment, there are, over 20 people on this call, and you chose to speak up. So in this moment right now today, you chose to overcome your shyness and speak up. So the first step I would do is let go of the label of being shy and say, I choose to be shy. And shy just means that you choose not to speak up. And so today you chose to speak up. And then again, if you want to just work on your volume, unless you have a voice issue, you can work on just speaking up a little more loudly. And maybe for you, when knowing yourself, I know we're at our time here, with knowing yourself, maybe you have to plan a little bit what you're going to say, because maybe you're not as good on the cuff. But just practice taking those small steps, which you just did right here today. You keep doing that, and eventually what once was uncomfortable will be your new normal and comfort. Really great.
Thank you.
And Lani.
Yeah, it's Lainey, but no
Lainey.
worries. Yeah, I was just wondering, what do you feel like the best piece of advice you've received relating to entrepreneurship and business?
I love that question. The best piece of advice is one from Oprah, which was the whole bet on yourself. The second best piece of advice is really, really focus on, I actually got this from so Jeff Bezos is the CEO of Amazon. I actually worked with one of his coaches. And I was so concerned about logistics, like all the different pieces that you need to start a business. And he said, logistics will come, focus on your vision. Keep reviewing your vision. So I read my vision over and over again and keep redrafting your vision. And so that kind of just keeps you focused on the things that are important. This is also connected to Jasmine, your question about being in high school. It's like, if you could see what was down the road, there's so many things in the path that aren't as important. So same thing with life. Like, we get caught up in all of these details and all of these petty things that are happening to us. And the only reason we feel a particular way is because we don't see down the road. So once you get a vision, it puts, you don't know how you're going to get to it, but it at least puts light on a future facing experience, so that you don't get caught up in the small stuff. Really, really important, because there's lots to do, right? But keep your eye on the vision.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Oh, I hope that this was helpful to you. And Ariel, I'll just, if anybody has any other questions, you want to shoot those over. You all have been just amazing, and you are the light, and you are the future. And I am just so excited to have had the opportunity to spend this time with you. I'm actually going to dance class after. I'm working on my bachata. And so that's what I'm doing tonight. That's how I was going to celebrate this moment with Girls Who Start. So thank you all so much. And thank you all, Ariel, for and the rest of your team for putting this all together. The rest of the team for putting this all together.
Yes, thank you so much, Talia, for such a truly amazing event. And everyone, please join me in thanking Talia for guiding us through this workshop today. We really appreciate it. And thanks so much, everyone, for joining for our first Girls Who Start virtual workshop. And you can follow us on Instagram and check out our website for more information about additional Zoom events and other upcoming events. And I just put both our website and Instagram in the chat. And Talia, I don't know if you want to share your personal Instagram, totally up to you.
Wonderful. So Abby, if you're still on, could you put that in the chat for me? That'd be great.
Great. And also just a heads up, our next Zoom Fireside Chat will be on April 13th at 5 p.m. with Kara Golden, who is the founder of Hint Water. And we'll also be scheduling an innovation workshop in April on how to come up with your own idea for a social venture. So stay tuned for that. And you can go to our website to sign up. And again, thank you so, so much, Talia.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.